Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Self-Sustained Challenge in this slightly different episode. I decided to go ahead and fix the item level issue we've been having as of late, and to do so, I needed a master plan. So let's get right into it. I first went to the Shrine of Aviana to set my Hearthstone so as to easily return to Mount Hyjal once I was done. Next, I teleported to Dalaran Northrend, where I visited Talismanic Textiles. There I spoke to Charles Worth, the tailoring trainer, and learned Northrend Tailoring. This gives access to a quest that, once completed, gives the tailoring passive cloth scavenging, which makes humanoids drop a little bit extra cloth. I then immediately teleported back to Orgrimmar so that I could go to the Twilight's Highlands. Once there, I immediately made my way to Twilight Gate, where I started killing Blood Eye Ogres and Ettins, as they should have a fairly good drop rate for Ember Silk cloth. But after killing a handful, I still hadn't had any cloth drop, like at all. Disheartened, I started flying back to the Dragonmaw camp, instead of just teleporting, because I'm not used to playing a mage that much. This, however, turned out in my favor, as I came upon Overlord Thunderfury, one of only 2 rare mobs in all of Cataclysm that drops cloth armor. Killing Overlord Thunderfury, I netted myself a nice pair of cloth pants. Using my Hearthstone to return to the shrine, I decided to give the cultists on Lightning Ledge a shot. They didn't really drop any Ember Silk either, though I did get Trek's Shiv, a nice little blue dagger that doesn't have the right stats for me, but I don't have in my catalog, so I'll definitely be equipping that later to collect the appearance. Once I ran out of cultists, I then went through the Flame Gate to take on the Dark Iron Dwarves within the Firelands, though they turned out to be just as stingy with their cloth as the cultists and the ogres had been. Doing a little bit more research, I found that Uldum had a pretty good spot for farming Ember Silk. However, before getting there, I hit level 37 from all the new locations I had discovered. I immediately invested the skill point into the second tier of Flame On, and promptly moved on. I arrived at the Gate of Hamatep, where I promptly started farming the Nephraset guards there for Ember Silk cloth. I spent a little over an hour there farming Ember Silk cloth, as well as having a new wand drop that was better than my staff, and a set of robes that matched with my shoulders. I actually spent so long there, in fact, that I ended up leveling up to level 38 from just the farming alone. I immediately invested the new talent point in Energized Barriers, giving my barrier spells a chance to reset the cooldown on Fire Blast. I then returned to Orgrimmar, heading up the tailoring shop in the Drag. There I got the thread I needed for relics of the past of an appropriate level, only to discover, much to my disappointment, that I needed 40 skill in Cataclysm tailoring to even use them. And in a moment of blind disappointment, I wasted the last of my Ember Silk. When I awoke the following day, I decided to make the best of a bad situation. True, I could not make Cataclysm tailoring, but I did have access to using relics of the past on classic tailoring items. So on a quick check on where I was in classic tailoring, and a bit of research, I soon found myself at Gavin's Naze in Hillspread. There I farmed to the Stormpike engineers for wool. However, they also dropped a bit of linen cloth and silk, which really diluted the cloth drops, making it not that optimal for wool farming. It was then that I accepted it. Tailoring isn't as good a profession for the Self-Sustained Challenge as it has been in the past. The reason for this is that, with the changes to dungeons that came with Shadowlands, I can no longer just go into Shadowfang Keep, for example, to farm wool. This means we have to fall back on an older tactic. Seeing as we needed new gear, I headed to Western Plaguelands. Once there, I started heading east until I came upon the Scarlet High Cleric, who dropped a pair of leather gloves. I then continued east until I came upon the Scarlet Interrogator, who dropped a nice pair of cloth boots. Continuing further northeast, I came upon the Scarlet Executioner. Killing him got me to level 39, and I immediately spent that skill point on Alexstras's Fury, meaning that from now on, Phoenix Flames and Dragon's Breath will always crit, meaning more Pyroblasts. The Executioner also dropped a cloth chest piece that were better than the robes I had gotten in Uldum. I then headed a bit more southeast, where I first cleared out a knoll before taking on the Scarlet Smith, who dropped a leather headpiece. Continuing northeast-ish, I came upon and killed Tracker, who dropped a leather chest piece. I then walked a little bit south, down to Melicia's outpost, where I cleared out a few cult-sworn warlocks, one of which was so very nice to drop some cloth bracelets, and then faced off against Lord Maldasar, who dropped some plate boots. Reaching the bridge to the eastern Plaguelands, I terminated the Scarlet Judge, who dropped not just one, but 2 greens, a Night Sky Cowl and a High Counselor's Cloak, both of which were much needed upgrades, as well as items I had not yet collected in my cloth catalog. Heading due south, I came upon Mange the Bear, who I promptly incinerated. He dropped a pair of Conjurer's Breeches that I hope does not give me mange, as they are an upgrade from the pair of pants that I got from killing Overlord Sunderfury in the Twilight Highlands. I then continued westward till I got to Garen's Withering. There I entered the barn and faced off against Dreadwhisper, who dropped a pair of mail shoulder pads. I also found a sturdy treasure chest in the barn, inside of which I found Sutan's ring, that despite its name is a cloth belt. It was a nice upgrade from what I had, so I equipped it. I then continued west until I found Walk the Walk, who dropped a leather belt, and it was about this point that I realized my bags were full. Luckily, I was only a stone's throw away from Caer d'Aro, so I flew over to the island and sold everything I had to the ghostly blacksmith there. With nice empty bags, I went up to the keep, below which the haunting halls of Skullomance is located. There I slew an abomination named Putridius, who just like the Scarlet Judge dropped 2 greens, a pair of mail legs, and a cloth belt that quickly replaced Sutan's ring. I then flew further west, completely neglecting to check if the husk was up, and entered the hinterlands. There I found old Cliffjumper, who I proceeded to take out back the shed. I then went to Bogan's Ledge, where I committed home invasion against Solarek the Hatefowler, who dropped a nice wand that was an upgrade from what I got in Uldum. But even then my crime spree had yet to end, as I went up to Shatra Alon, where I committed yet another home invasion, though given that the victim this time was Witherheart the Stalker, I think we can all agree that he had it coming. Next I went to Skull Rock. There I incinerated the Reek, hitting level 40 in the process. I decided to take the Cryo Freeze talent despite being a Fire Mage, as access to a little bit of healing whenever I use Ice Block isn't too bad a deal. I then went and outshone Razor Talon, before finally coming upon and cooking Old Muttley, who I forgot is a Hunter Pet Rare, so he doesn't drop any gear, and just a tier of loyalty. Whoops. I then flew down to the Raven Tusk village, where I beheld the fashion disaster that Molotov's outfit has become, and promptly designed a suitable transmog for her. Having solved the item level crisis, I then went back to Mount Hyjal, ready to continue adventuring. And with that, I hope you have enjoyed this different episode of the Self-Sustained Challenge. If you liked the video, please leave a like. If you didn't like this video, leave a dislike. And if you have anything on your heart, leave a comment. And, if you actually really like this format, tell me in the comments, because this is much shorter than the other videos. And with that said, you could subscribe, but I'm not the boss of you, so it's up to you. And with that, see ya.
gas in the gas in the back of the slab.